Have you ever wondered what's the benefits of being an introvert and how you can leverage being an introvert as well in your personal and professional life? In this video, I'm going to give you some ways that you can use to become better as an introvert. And I think this last one may be the best one for you. That first one is that you focus or we focus on those one-to-one conversations. Think about it. When was the last time you went to a party or like a conference or something and you just went and spoke to the whole room, right? That's not something we do because if we do, that will eventually make us burn out and just leave, essentially. So, what we do focus on are those one to one interactions, meaning that we strive to meet people one to one to have those conversations because we can essentially talk to them more better, if that's a word. And we can also help them a lot more with their current situation. Now, I bet you didn't know that also, because of that, we're looked at as more trustworthy because since we focus on those one-to-one interactions with those people, they tend to trust us more because we're able to give more of ourselves to somebody else the more we get to know them, right? Because the more we get to know someone, the more we kind of break out of our shell, and the more we share with them. That's why it's good for us. Now, if you do tend to be a social, as in you try to talk to everyone at a party or like at that meeting, then you burn out. And a way for you to overcome this burnout, if that's you, is to simply just go outside and breathe. Just take a walk or something. Or just go back to what you were doing before. Go talk to one person, right? You don't need to be the person to try to talk to everyone. That's not your job as an introvert. That's an extrovert's job. Now, that second one is that you're more observant and less because you're less talkative to others. Now, think about any situation, right? Where you're having a conversation, right? You speak to somebody else and you see that they're talking back to you, as in you actually watching their face expression. You see how they move their mouth. You see how they like communicate back with you, and you do the same because we're not talkative like that. We tend to base our energy based off the other person, right? Whereas if you're an extrovert, then what you would do, you just hop in the conversation just like this and try to meet them on their level or at a higher level than what they're at now. As an introvert, you try to wiggle yourself in there in order to get to know them a little bit more deeper, right? That third one is that you tend to go a little bit deeper about things going forward. What do I mean? You tend to think a little bit deeper. Now, I know for myself, before I make a goal or before I try to accomplish a task, I try to think about all the ways I can do it. I try to mind map things so I can do it this way, I can do it this way, I can do it this way, or this way. But in the end, the way I choose is the best way, which has the least risk associated to it. Or it's an evenly balanced risk where I can gain more than I lose, right? And that's what you should do as an introvert. That's what you probably are doing now, right? You think deeper about just launching or hopping into things, right? Similar to how in those parties or whenever you go out somewhere, you don't like to talk to everyone. You don't like to be the center of the conversation. You prefer to be the person on the side, right? Or the person who's talking to somebody else one on one instead of being that person to hop in. Meaning that you prefer to think about things in a structured manner for how you accomplish a task instead of just hopping forward because you're more risk averse, right? I know for me, as a drone instructor, right, I'm used as an example, but there's numerous times in my career where there were times when I had two different ways of doing things. Yeah, part A and part B. But if you have a more of an extroverted personality, you would just kind of hop in that situation and just fail. I'm not saying you would, but you might fail that situation. And then you will maybe go from there. But for me, over time, but as an introvert, let me go back. As an introvert, right? Why did I kind of structure my thoughts based on how I would achieve that over time? Now, what I do, I whenever I come to a situation or a task, I jump headfirst in there, right? But I do so in a structured manner. The best way to move forward is to try to learn how to minimize the time space between your decision or the problem and we made the decision and close that as fast as possible. So if I was deciding whether or not to cross the street and I seen cars come from both ways, right? I could one, I could stop and wait for the cars to go through, right? Or I can look left and look right. Whenever I see a tiny sliver of a chance that I may have to go across the road, that will be the time that I will actually go across, right? I would take that step forward and hopefully nothing happens. But if something happens, right? You just adjust from that first jump you take, but do so in a structured manner. And that last one is you. Take pride. Hey, so I just want to take a quick break from the video to tell you about these two things. The Clarity to Control Challenge, which is essentially a 5-day group call where I essentially answer your questions to help you kind of ease your mind. It could be questions from anything from your goals to how you can like clear your mind if you feel stressed out, anything, right? I do those for 5 days, answer any questions you may have, and provide my insights based on what I learned over time and from others to help you improve your life. That second one is the execution system for those high achievers or anyone else who think they apply, who feel kind of burnt out because they're tired. They do the right things all the time, but sometimes they still feel directionless. It's like you have the map, but you don't know where to go to. And that's what that system is there for. All you have to do is click the link in the description and give it a try. But back to the video. And the fact that you are who you are. And the good man above or whoever you believe in made you the person you are today. Because if you wasn't the person you are today, then your life would be a reflection of your behavior. Now, I'm not saying everyone's good or bad, but if you try to be somebody that you're not, the extrovert that you're not, then in general, you should bring yourself down because you're trying to be somebody who you want to be, who you're trying to be, when the only goal is to be yourself.